That's not true. Hit both of the buttons, please. Hello everyone, this is Hearthstone Meta Hype. I am E-Core with my friend Venga Dragon. How's it going, Venga?
I am doing awesome. I'm glad to be here chilling out with you tonight, bro.
Okay, well, we have two very important topics to talk about today. One is the nerfs for Demon Hunter and just other classes in general. I don't want to just focus on Demon Hunter. There are a couple of other things I want to see nerfed. And then we're going to get to the big one, the Battle Pass, and just, talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Every time you ask me that whether I'm all right, and I give my response, and you're just like, okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's okay. In my defense, I take so long to talk about things that I need to just get going. I have these two ideas that I really want to talk about, and I kind of just focus on them, tunnel vision on those two topics.
All right.
Okay, so basically the first thing that I want to talk about is in fact the Demon Hunter nerfs that I would do, and then we're going to jump into a couple of other classes as we go. But the first thing that I would just like to see changed is I'm just basically going to go in mana order here, like from most to least, or least to most mana, is Twin Slice. What are your thoughts on Twin Slice real quick?
Well, I mean, it got a buff the last time that it was done, so even though that it looked as if it was a nerf, it was truly a buff. The card went from, remember, it was just +1. And then it went, it was 0 mana, right? And then it went to 1 mana +2, so attack. And that's really just problematic, especially when you add in the new card that has rush, and it because of the weapon that you could cheat out a 6/6, I think it is, for so it makes it just so easy to do, and so there's a lot of things that Twin Slice is problematic with. So
my proposed nerf for this card would have been something like make it still 2 cards, obviously, and make one of them +2 attack, the first one, and then the second one +1 attack.
Yeah,
and the reason why I think that would be good is because, one, the cards have a different name, so it would kind of work even just like from a card flavor standpoint. Like if it's called Twin Slice and doesn't have Twin Spell, but still essentially has the exact same effect the second time, is a little bit weird. But because it has a different name and the second slice, you'd assume the second slice would probably be weaker maybe or something like that, just like thematically for the card. It would make sense to make it 1. And I think the problem with making the first card or the first Twin Slice card +1 attack and then second slice 2 is that then the first cast would just be too bad. So I think making the first cast stronger than the second is better, so that way if you're playing into an aggro deck or something, you can still respond rather than giving just +1 attack for 1 mana, because that's pretty bad. But I think that would be a great way to nerf it, because it would nerf its overall power level a little bit. It would make you a little bit more selective of when you actually ended up playing the card the first time. You wouldn't just like play it for some extra damage here and there. You might save it for like a Blade Dance or something, which I think could be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good idea too, because what you have is, even if you played it once and you get the +2, and then you're left with the second Twin Spell at +1, it means that you'd have to lead with the second one if you did have it in your hand, and then get the +2, and then you'd have to use 2 cards to get +2. So it really does make for an effective nerf. I mean, there's many different ways you could do it. You could go with even if, I know people would get crazy, but if you kill the card completely if you go to make it a 2 mana card. And then it's,
I don't think that would be good.
Yeah, that would be.
I don't think you want to kill the card, because I mean,
you don't. Yeah. I'm just saying you'd kill the card if you went to 2 mana. So I think
it's one of those cards that's just really hard to nerf because of that. Like if you do even just a little too much and it's dead, it's one of those staple cards in Demon Hunter that's all of a sudden just unplayable. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, and the thing is about that card is it's not the card itself that's bad. Like, it's a good design card. Like, I like the idea of it. I like the name, and I like the the concept behind it. It's just that the way that it leads to building other cards around it that I think it becomes a problem. It makes it hard to also build and balance the other cards, and then they go and do something crazy where the weapon, clears the board. You know what I'm saying? Like it. So
yeah,
it's very difficult. And I think
it's strong on its own, but then also makes everything else stronger too.
Right,
which is kind of crazy.
And that's what they did, though. They did it by design. I think that it was obvious that they did kind of build the whole class around Twin Slice, so that if you kill the card, you kind of almost kill the class to some degree. So.
No, yeah. And then the next two cards I wanted to talk about, basically there are three categories. The first one is just Twin Slice. The next one is like removal-based cards, and then the next one is just cards that I think give too much value. So the next two cards are actually Blade Dance and Shard Shatter Mystic, and they're problematic for different reasons. Blade Dance I think is problematic because you're able to kill off 3 enormous minions potentially and then also hit face without with only having to cost 2 mana. And then the other one is Shard Shatter Mystic, and I don't know if you played back when Duskbreaker was a card, the 4-mana dragon that was a 4-mana 3/3 do 3 damage to all of their minions. That was considered one of the most powerful cards in the game at the time, or at least like one of the most powerful rares, and especially one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, early board removal. And they basically took that card, one of the best that's ever existed in that category, if not the best, and then made Shard Shatter Mystic a stronger version of that. And I think if they just make Shard Shatter Mystic a 4-mana 3/3, basically like Duskbreaker, that would be an easy fix. I think the harder fix is Blade Dance, and I think it would either have to kill 3 minions but cost your attack, or only kill 2 minions if you also want to attack. That way it's just not as effective of a board clear. And this is a card I've heard people talk about for a long time, and I really think it needs to be adjusted, because with a card like Twin Slice, which for 4 mana, or 2 mana, sorry, you can get 4 attack right now, assuming you don't even have a weapon on the board, for 4 mana you can double Twin Slice Blade Dance and do 4 damage to 3 minions on turn 4, which could essentially wipe their board, and then you get to hit them in the face for 4, which is just insane.
Yeah, and it's not that it doesn't happen. It's almost like they're just waiting for you to set up a board to do, and it happens like so often that it definitely needs to be addressed. And I do remember Duskbreaker, great card. The one requirement of that is that you did have to have a dragon. I believe you had to have a dragon in your hand if you
in your hand
in your hand as well. So that made the card somewhat like balanced in the sense, but this you don't even really need to have a dragon in hand. You just need to, or
have played a soul fragment card at some point.
And
which I mean, it does balance it a little bit. Like, it's still a condition that has to be met, but I still think it should be 4 mana.
Yeah,
just in general. So that way, also, if you draw it off of Skull of Gul'dan, it's not immediately free as well. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been saved, excuse me, by just playing Skull of Gul'dan, getting a free Shard Shatter Mystic, and then just playing it and destroying the board. Like, if it was just 1 mana, that would make that combo a little bit more difficult, and it would be more difficult to play against an aggro deck.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you bring up that card as well, because there's a card that's in the Warlock class, and that's Fire Breather. And Fire Breather is a deal 2 damage to all minions except
it's 4
demons.
Mana and deals only 2 damage.
Yeah.
Like, Shard Shatter Mystic is so much stronger than that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the stat distribution is similar. Like, a 3 mana 3/2 is kind of similar to a 4 mana 4/3. Like, obviously the 4 mana has more stats, but they're both understated because their abilities are strong. It's just Shard Shatter Mystic's ability is better.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, that card definitely needs to be taken care of. And I agree with you completely on Blade Dance and Soul Shatter, definitely. So, what's up next, man? I totally agree with you on that. I think you're right too. I think just bumping it up will be good. Just to bump it up one mana, make it a 4 mana 3/3, right? So, I think you're good to go there. What's up?
And then the last two for Demon Hunter. Obviously, there are other cards I could focus on, but these are the ones I want to focus on. Is Stilt Stepper, just in terms of how much value you get, and Bladed Lady. And the reason I want to talk about these two is because Stilt Stepper, being a 3 mana 4/1, that also allows you to draw a card and deal 4 damage, essentially, is just so strong. Like, if you think about Novice Engineer, it's a 2-mana 1/1 to draw a card. Like, drawing the card is at least 1 to 2 mana value on its own. Like, Novice Engineer is a bad card stat-wise, not ability-wise. Drawing a card is super good. And then you have Stilt Stepper, which a 3-mana 4/1 draw a card would honestly wouldn't be an epic. It would be like more like a rare or common, but it would actually maybe be playable in an aggro deck. The fact that it also gets 4 damage is kind of just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
3 attack. I think a 3-mana 3/1 that gives +3 attack would just make it a little bit weaker on board and effect, or keep it a 3-mana 4/1 but make it only give you 2 attack or something like that, or allow it to give you 4 attack but make it a 3-mana 2/1 or something bad. Like, the stats need to change by 2 attack in my opinion, whether it be on the card, whether it be in the ability, or a mix of the two.
I mean, the card is so easy to just ping off, though. It is easy to kill, but it's just that +4 attack this turn because it's ridiculous. That's again, you play 3 mana, right? A Stilt Stepper, and you play a Twin Slice, and
then you play
There's your 6.
1 or 2 mana card. Like, it's a 1. If you look at the deck, like, I'd say 7 out of 10 times it'll be a 1 or 2 cost card. So like 70% of the time it's 5 mana for 2 cards, 4 damage, 4/1 stats, and whatever else you got to play.
Right.
And then Bladed Lady, I just think, should cost 2 mana if your hero's attack is 6. I think it's actually not that bad of a card. It's just 1 mana is kind of crazy. If it were 2, I think it'd be a lot better. And there are so many times I'm playing against a Soul Demon Hunter where they just drop this Bladed Lady and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, especially if it's basically what you'll see on the board. You can sometimes you might even see Skull of Gul'dan played, and then you have Bladed Lady and also the
attack damage things.
Yeah, attack damage. Yeah. So it's just at that point your board. It's hard to clear. It's like the ultimate aggro. It gets rush as well. It punches through a taunt. It's very difficult. So I think I agree with you on this one. It does definitely need to have a balance change. I believe that the going to 2 mana might not even really do it. I think that the card just the way that the history is of nerfing in Blizzard, I wouldn't be surprised if this card changes stat line as far as health is concerned as well. I think you'll see it go to like maybe even a 6/4 maybe, or even a 5/4.
No, yeah, I was thinking of 5/4, something like that as well. That was the other way that you could nerf it with stats.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I feel like making it cost 2 mana would slow it down enough to make it be at least okay, but maybe not. Maybe decreasing its stats is the way to go. Yeah. I don't have a huge problem with Bladed Lady, as much as I do some of the other cards that are like way too powerful in my opinion, but Bladed Lady is just like a little bit too strong. And honestly, if some of the other cards in Demon Hunter got nerfed, I wouldn't mind them having a pretty powerful play with some setup like Bladed Lady. I wouldn't, honestly.
I totally see what you're saying. I mean, if you look at it, like just saying, like if you wanted to give it a certain nerf, if you go to the Warrior and you have the Warrior card which has Rush, which is the Blood Boil Brute, right?
Yeah.
That's a 7 mana 5/8, which
that can go down to 0.
Yes, it can,
but requires a lot of setup, like a lot.
It does. And it's not set up that really you can control as much per se. I mean,
it's like you need to have Risky Skipper and like 1 or 2 other minions. The opponent has to have some other minions on the board for it to really go off. Bladed Lady's just like got a weapon, got Twin Slice, or maybe just got Twin Slice, maybe like 1 other card.
Right.
You get to play it for 1. I don't know.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that you're going to 2 mana might be the way to go, but remember this card Blood Boil Brute also got nerfed, and it was a 7 mana 6/8, which kind of didn't.
Oh yeah.
It didn't really matter that the attack 5'8".
Yeah.
It's like,
because like it's still an insane value. It's still gonna get played. It's just gonna maybe have a slightly lower win rate when played. Yeah. I think nerfing it down to a 5/4 is a lot worse than nerfing down Blood Boiled Brute 1 attack. Like if they made Blood Boiled Brute instead of a 5/8, they nerfed its health and its attack and made it like a 5/7.
Yeah.
That would have been, I think, bigger.
Yeah, I just remember when the nerf happened on this card, everybody's like, so what? Next. And then so I do think that they'll probably put some kind of attack and some kind of health the decline on the card. And that's, I think, what'll be the nerf. So what else you got to talk about, man? Anything else going on?
Skull Gul'dan, just want to throw that in the ring as the last card that I could see getting nerfed. I don't really think it should. I mean, it is 6 mana. It is pretty slow. It does allow you to get other things out relatively quickly. But, like, the fact that turn 6, they essentially do nothing and they try to set up their combo is okay, in my opinion. It's not... It is really, really strong, and it's, like, on that line. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's, like, so bad it needs to be nerfed, because it's already been nerfed.
It was. It used to be a 5 mana, which it then went
Dude,
down.
that was ridiculous. How could... That's... No. Okay, making it 6 is fine. And honestly, if they make it like 7 or make its cost only reduced by 2, like, I think would still see a decent amount of play. Or at least making the cards cost 2 less. I think making it 7 mana might make it a bit too slow, though. But anyway, there were basically 2 or 3 more cards I wanted to touch on that I think are just really strong. But the reason why I don't want to put too much pressure on them is because they will be cycling out soon, so it doesn't really matter. But the first one is just Phase Stalker. The 2 mana 2/3 that every time you hero power, it casts a secret from your deck. And it's a beast. It's basically got everything you could want in a Hunter card. Like, it allows you to thin out your deck, which is something Hunter can't normally do. It's a 2/3, so it's pretty sticky, and if you have to play it on turn 2 or whatever, it can be kind of strong, and it's just kind of hard to kill. It's a beast, and it's an early game play. I think that just probably the best nerf for this card would just make it a 2 mana 2/2. I think at the 3 health, it's just a bit too hard to kill. And we were talking about the one demon card the warlock card that does 2 damage to everything. Like, if I've played demon I've played warlock into hunter plenty of times, and it's felt so bad playing that card and not being able to kill the Phase Stalker, which is my main target anyway, because I don't want him to get more card value.
Yeah.
So I think that making it 2 health and just making it vulnerable, like, it has the same effect. It's still a beast, so it combos with Scavenger's Ingenuity and Kill Command. It's still 2 mana. You can still play it on turn 4 to get a 2/2 out on the board and get a free secret from your deck, but just making it less of a good tempo play and something that's more easily removed. Because, like, another thing is the 3 health basically means you have to hit into it in order to kill it in a lot of cases. Well, you don't have to, but it's harder to kill, so you're more likely to hit into it to kill it, which means that Pack Tactics and Snake Trap will more likely trigger, and it's just making it 2 health would be better in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a nice dream, but I don't think it'll happen. I do agree with you that it should have been looked at a long time ago. It's just that the Secret Hunter, it has had its ups and downs, and where it's been a thing and then it hasn't been. True. So the card is always been a problem. It's just that there has been ways to remove it. It's basically there's some of the things that some of the secrets have improved, right? You have Pack Tactics, which is pretty ridiculous. It's a great secret, really, and I do like the secret models a lot, like the archetypes, because playing against them is where I feel like you can exert skill. And also,
it's the only way to interact with your opponent on their turn, essentially. I really love secrets. I love Secret Hunter. Yeah. I loved Secret Mage. I even like trying to figure out how to play around secrets. And although it's frustrating when you guess wrong, it's so satisfying when you guess right and being like, I outplayed him because I'm a better player.
Right. It gives you that drive. And that's like what I feel that Hearthstone can do going forward is try to make those plays more interactive. There's some good... I think they've lost their way a little bit. So that card is the secrets in general are really cool. And it just brings the game to a different level, and I enjoy that card. So, but it will not be touched, even though, because it's just too late. Maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe they'll be happy and do it, but I doubt it.
Okay, so I got 2 more cards, but we're running a little bit long, so how about we just run into your segment after a little bit of a break and talk about those there.
Sounds good to me, man, but I gotta make sure that I always do what I tell you to do. You gotta make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, because Ecor just doesn't want you to subscribe. He just wants to sit there and play Hearthstone. All he wants you to do is just hang out and play Hearthstone and have you watch, but he doesn't want you to subscribe to the channel. So don't give this video a thumbs up. Don't subscribe to the channel. Just watch Ecor play.
Okay, that's not true. Hit both of the buttons, please.